This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
Prime Minister Wilson stood alone in her office. She opened her personal closet and looked in the mirror that lined the door. She clenched her jaw as she looked into her pupils. She projected her best rendition of strength. She was known as the Iron Lady of Belmondia. She had a reputation to uphold. At least that was her former persona. That was what won her the election 4 years earlier. These days, she had a dragon breathing down her neck in the form of a flamboyant and overtly populist opposition leader who was managing to creep up on her in the polls, point by point. She would be forced to call the Governor General in exactly 15 days, as per the rules of the Constitution. She had to issue the writs and enable a general election. She didn't want to be a one-term wonder, but all signs were pointing in the wrong direction. She clenched her jaw tighter until her back gums shuddered in pain, a leftover relic from her wisdom teeth removal almost 2 decades earlier. She needed a tariff on microprocessors like she needed a hole in the head. The erratic, newly elected President of the United States was on a domestic tour to show strength within his first 3 weeks in office. Every policy was geared toward a local reputational bump. Belmondia had a workforce of over 800,000 involved in the parts processing that was used in every single handheld mobile device on the planet. If the tariff was to go ahead, at 50%, as was threatened, the country's #1 export would diminish overnight. It wouldn't just be the end of her government. It would be the end of her country. The nation would fail, and the people would flee. This would be her legacy. Everything rested on the call. Everything. There was a knock on the office door. Katie, her PA, poked her head in. "President Stan is ready on the line, Madam PM," she said. "Thank you, Katie," Wilson said as she looked back at her determined face one last time before closing the closet door. She sat at her desk, brushed her shirt down at the chest twice, removing the imaginary remnants of a lunch she had not eaten, and picked up the receiver to her ear. "Stand by for President Stan," said a voice on the other end. "Good morning, Prime Minister," said the geriatric commander-in-chief, half a world away. "Good morning, Mr. President. It's lovely to have you on the line this evening," Prime Minister Wilson responded. "How's the weather down there this fine winter morning?" "It's summer down here, Mr. President." "Oh, right. Of course." She could hear some paper shuffling. She wondered if he had been giving his full attention to the purpose of the phone call. "But to answer your question," she said, attempting to remain cordial and bring the conversation back to a jovial footing, "it has been rather dreadful, heavy rains. A lot of flash flooding. Nothing too severe, no national disaster or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have a few more days of heavy downpours. Whether or not we will have a lot of nasty floodwaters rising. Climate change is a terrible thing," she said, instantly regretting her attempts at small talk. She was attempting to keep the conversation civil, drawing from their common experiences governing a nation when global events outside their control can inflict pain and discomfort on the population. Then she remembered that he had been a skeptic and campaigned, famously, on a platform of conspiracy theories that governed his position on exactly that issue. She sucked up a ball of her inner mouth between her teeth and began to bite down on it. Hard. "Tell me, Prime Minister, what is so urgent that you requested this phone call?" the President said, cutting to the chase. She was grateful. She drew in a breath. She never used to be afraid of being blunt. She told herself not to begin such bad habits now. "Mr. President, in the last 12 hours, you issued a tariff on all imports of microprocessors," she began. "Yes, I did," said President Stan. She drew in another breath. "Mr. President, you strike me as someone who respects a conversation to cut right to the point," she said. "That's right, I do," he said. "Well, Belmondia and our great people work hard in the mines and the processing plants to deliver those microprocessors around the world. We have never implemented tariffs on any nation, even though this industry is our #1 export. We recognize the need to protect our industry would not work in our favor if nations around the world are unwilling to import our product. Mr. President, if you go ahead with this tariff and include Belmondia, you will risk crippling our country. In fact, it is a guarantee you will cripple our economy and destroy our country. We rely on our exports, and to be brutally frank with you, Mr. President, you rely on our product also. We have all the mineral components under our soil, and we are the only nation equipped with extracting it safely and processing it for product consumption effectively. Mr. President, I am on my knees here. She looked at her reflection in the door of the wardrobe that was left open. The mirror was strategically placed to face her whenever she was on the phone. She felt more in control when she was able to look at her own physical responses while on the phone. "You ever heard of the Margarana Trench?" the president asked. "Excuse me?" she replied. She was not expecting obfuscation. "The Margarana Trench," repeated the president. "It's this fantastic place. The marine biologists of the previous administration found it deep out in the ocean off Florida. I had them all fired just before they presented their report to me about the whereabouts of this fantastic discovery. I tell you, it's a good thing that they told me before I ripped up all of their contracts," he laughed. "Oh, wow," Wilson said with a chuckle. She wasn't sure how to respond. She didn't want to be intimidated, but she looked in her own eyes from across the room, and her face was withdrawn and sheepish. "There are all sorts of wildlife down there. They even said they discovered a new species of starfish. Can you believe that? A starfish." "Isn't that right, Tom?" the president said to someone outside the call, who Wilson could hear agreeing with the question. "There's also evidence of an underwater lizard, a little harmless blue thing. The size of your pinky. Size of your pinky, can you believe it? 1,000,000 years they haven't discovered any new species, and all of a sudden there's this whole new underwater playground full of all these new and fantastic creatures that are all harmless and lovely, just living and swimming amongst one another. A true wonder. That's what they're calling it. A true wonder. Possibly the 8th wonder of the world. That's what I might call it, actually, the 8th wonder of the world. That's not a bad way to describe it, actually." The president trailed off. "This had been a fantastic call, Madame Prime Minister. I want to thank you and the wonderful people of Belmondia. I think you're doing a bang-up job, and I want to tell you, keep going. Keep doing a bang-up job. The great people of Belmondia need a good, strong leader like you." "Good day to you," the president said, as he went to end the call. "Wait! Mr. President!" Wilson screamed down the line. "What is it?" he asked. "I'm sorry, sir, but I need to ask, what is your position about exempting Belmondia from the microprocessing tariffs? Our country is at stake by your decision." She bit her inner cheek on the left-hand side. The warm blood oozed down the back of her throat. "Didn't we already cover that?" the president asked. "With respect, sir, we did not." "Oh, I'm sorry. The Margarana Trench. They say we have all the processing needs we need down in that underwater trench. So we're just going to mine the hell out of that place. It's going to be fantastic. You take care of yourself, okay? God bless the people of Belmondia." The line went dead.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.